What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? How you guys doing? How you guys doing? Happy New Year. This is my first trading week back. First Chart Fanatics live stream back in the new year. What's up? What's up? Let me know if you guys can hear me and see me. What's up? Good morning. Good morning, Samir Trades. Hello after a long break. Damien, good morning. J-Cade, good morning. Gogu Trades. I recognize you in here. Deej, Stan, Happy New Year. Great to see you guys. Welcome in, welcome in. It's been kind of a slow week. I'm taking it slow, getting started back in here. Taking it slow, getting back into the swing of things a little bit, getting a feel for kind of watching everything again. Anytime, I take even just like a full week off is rare for me from trading. But when I do, it feels like I've been out for like a month. So even just kind of being out of trading, I was on vacation in the mountains the week between Christmas and New Year's. So even just taking that little bit of time off just feels like forever for me. But getting back into it, taking it slow. There's been some setups that I've shared and things that I've been watching that have played out, but I just haven't seen good confirmations at the right time this week. So I haven't even taken a trade so far this week. Been at the charts all day, Monday, Tuesday, and today, but still waiting for the right opportunity for me to get started with the year as far as entering trades. Welcome from India and Kenya. People joining from all over. Welcome in, guys. Good morning. Let me send the link for this stream. Give me 1 second so people can join in. There we go. Smash the like button. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the support. So if you guys aren't aware, we've got a lot of great sponsors here. Prop Firm Trader being one, Apex, lots of good discounts. If you guys are interested, check out the links in this little square you see here, or not the links, but the discount code TradeZella as well. So a lot of work goes into pulling everything together to make these streams happen for you guys, and these sponsors are the reason that it's able to happen. So huge shout out to them. And also, if you want the best discounts, check out the Chart Fanatics discount promo codes. If you're not aware, Chart Fanatics has a free Discord as well. It's an extremely great resource to connect with other traders. We're also going to be doing some free giveaways. As usual, we have some accounts to give away. Let me check really quick. We have, one second. Yeah, we have Apex accounts, Fund Index account, and Alpha Capital account to give away today. So we will be doing giveaways today later in the stream as well. Yep. Let me check the chat for the questions here. You guys are free to ask questions throughout the stream. When I trade live, I try to make it like a coaching session where I interact with you guys and answer as many questions as I can. I try to make it educational focused, regardless of whether I take a trade or not. I always try to focus on, the teaching and education aspect of it. I'm typically live on Fridays. I'm filling in today. AB is typically on Wednesdays, I believe. I'm filling in today. He wasn't able to make it. So sorry about that. You guys are stuck with me today. AB is an awesome trader. But if you're not aware, I trade based on supply and demand and order flow. So let me share my screen here. So the screen that I like to share here is Bookmap. This is a tool that I use for analyzing the order flow. So on the left side here is Bookmap, the heat map and the bubble chart. And it shows the live kind of orders as they come into the market. On the heat map is the resting orders. They're like level 2. So like passive buyers and sellers appear on the heat map. And these bubbles show the real-time aggressive buyers and sellers as they're coming in. On the right-hand side is my depth of market. This is the Bookmap DOM Pro, and it shows me a nice breakdown of the volume profile sellers and buyers, recent bid and ask, and another thing that I really like to use is the session volume profile and the volume profile delta. If that all sounds complicated to you, I have a video that I just posted on YouTube going over kind of just like a very simple breakdown of order flow concepts. It was actually taken from a live stream that I did here on Chart Fanatics a month ago or so, where I did kind of an educational session, kind of an intro to order flow trading and just understanding the market auction theory. What's up, Marco? Happy New Year, bro. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining in. What's up? So we'll get into the analysis. Romania tuning in. Let me know in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. Dubai, Romania, Kenya. There's people all over the world coming in here. That's crazy. I primarily trade ES futures, S&P 500 in general. I trade options some too. I usually use options as my weapon of choice for kind of positioned trades, swing trades, and scalping. I'm primarily trading just futures. So 99% mostly just scalping, trading futures, ES specifically. Occasionally I'll get in on NQ. I do want to get more active on NQ this year. But it's kind of like, everybody's into NQ and gold now and everything. Everybody's kind of like chasing shiny objects. I've been trading ES for many years and I just keep doing what works. I don't really have much reason to change, even though some other things look fun to trade. I don't really trade for fun. I trade what I have that works. So Kazakhstan, Bulgaria, Indonesia, India, Croatia, Ethiopia. Holy cow. Tunisia, Kenya again, Nigeria, Qatar, South Africa. That's awesome. Wow. Huge group. Poland. Wow. That's awesome, guys. So we're going to deep dive into order flow today as we watch this. We do have some news prints coming out at 10 a.m. We already had the ADP news. And so ADP, Marco is my favorite. Thanks. Appreciate that vote of confidence there, Marco. Let me see exactly here. So we have JOLTS job openings in 50 minutes at 10 a.m. and then ISM non-manufacturing PMI at 10 a.m. Those are both kind of heavy hitters, so we could see some reaction to that. But obviously the big elephant in the room is NFP coming out Friday. The two big ones that I always put a star on as far as higher impact news weeks is NFP weeks and FOMC rate decision weeks. Those always tend to have some good volatility and stuff around. Yeah, we'll get into ES. Let me take a snip of my chart over here. I like to start out just taking a look at higher time frame charts. 1 second. Get my snip tool. I don't like rearranging my screens and stuff. I have everything set up in a particular way, so I like using the snip tool to talk about other charts, and then I can just draw it. So here's a couple key levels that I've got on my charts. These are really the only levels that I've got on my charts. You can see we have formed kind of a triple top up here now, also near all-time highs. I use the contract adjusted charts. So you'll see that we're on, contract this ES charts. This is a daily chart. But it's on the contract adjusted. But one thing that I was watching earlier this week is just this lower trend line that we had previously 3 touches on here, here, and here. I think this was last Friday. So starting out the week, this with some other, other analysis. I was also looking at some key stuff from the order flow here. There's also kind of a daily fair value gap level here. But there was some volume stuff that I was liking here, especially that formed on Friday. That was really leaning bullish for this whole week that I was talking about in the private mentorship that I run all week, especially to start this week. I was leaning very bullish. But the main reason was there was some key stuff here from this just above this prior swing low that was formed on the daily chart. And then Friday's action looked pretty bullish to me despite us closing a red day technically. If I go back to the volume profile, I'll talk about that for a second. I like to look at these higher time frames starting out and get more and more kind of in the weeds on specific trade setups that I'm looking for the day. If you're wanting to review these screenshots as I kind of talk through the analysis and different stuff today, I will drop screenshots and drawings that I talk through in the Chart Fanatics Discord under the Matt Owen channel. So if you look under the CF Live channel in Chart Fanatics Discord, under my name there, you'll see these screenshots dropped if you want to review. So here's my Sierra chart volume profile. This is a 30-minute chart with volume profile set up. This is everything that I'm sharing is ES futures. So I'm looking at ES. There's a lot of very similar stuff going on NQ, but I'm primarily focused just on ES futures. So this was interesting to me on Friday, how we sold off pretty aggressively here. And then we spent the whole day basically based and consolidating in this range, and looking at the volume profile, you can see how we formed all this volume built up here, but we were never really able to get continuation. And you can see how the volume just kind of dwindled off here under the lows. And obviously we left wicks on the 30-minute chart here. So there was just a lack of volume and participation from sellers to continue to push price lower. And these areas here, these lower volume areas, this forms when sellers are really aggressive, right? And price moves so quickly down in one direction that not a lot of volume is transacted. It leaves these little pockets, these little low volume nodes. Sometimes they form alongside candle chart patterns like a fair value gap or something. But when I see this form at the low and we leave these areas where, sellers were driving price lower really aggressively, and then we just consolidate in this range, and then we recapture back above these, especially this upper one here. The fact that this past Friday closed just above that here was a pretty bullish indication for me. And then obviously, we traded higher overnight. But that was a pretty bullish indication, and then we've pretty much continued that all week. We've seen the volume built up at the highs, consolidate, and then rally higher. So we're getting these, rally, kind of base in this area, rally again, and that's continued to be kind of what we've seen again and again. So you can see these kind of wavier pattern here as we've been trending up, and that's pretty typical of what I like to see on a trending move. So we're having a bit of a trending move. We can see this consolidation kind of occurring again here at the highs. Eventually, one of these consolidations could break down and we could start, retracing lower. But I don't want to be the first one to try to catch that, right? Bulls have clearly been in control. We're back near all-time highs. So just because we're at this somewhat area of resistance doesn't mean like I'm interested in being the first one to try to go short here. So unless I see something really significant change, like after this consolidation here at the highs, if sellers become very large and aggressive in size and shift structure back to the downside, then I might start becoming more interested in shorts. So I'm primarily continuing to look for longs until I see something new develop. Now let me go back to my other charts here. And I'll get back to the questions in the chat here in a moment, but I just wanted to kind of keep going through the analysis here. So we have this area that was a prior swing high. It kind of resisted here, and then we're kind of resisting here. I drew this. This isn't like a super great supply zone, in my opinion. It wasn't a super clean supply zone, but it was an area of resistance, and I had it marked here because this week I was looking to use this red box as a target for longs. Not so much a place that I'm wanting to initiate shorts, but this was kind of a target for longs for me this week. And you can see we've hit that now, and we're kind of consolidating inside there. So I'm very much staying patient now. We've kind of already rallied into that target, and I want to see really what happens next. I want to let large market participants tell me what side they're on, and I don't want to try to preempt anything, especially today. Especially we're getting later and later in the week towards that bigger NFP news coming out on Friday. So I'm expecting things could possibly turn choppier as we, get closer to that news. Hopefully we set up for some nice trade opportunities after the news on Friday, or, going into next week. But this area, we could call it kind of resistance, kind of supply, but it wasn't so strong, so key that I was looking to take shorts off of it. It was more of something that I wanted to look to use as a target. Now we're consolidating in here. So as we've built this area here with all this volume, I'm really kind of seeing what happens next. If we break out from here and pullbacks are supported above here, then I'll be looking for kind of like a break and retest, possibly above that. Ideally, if I can get in early before, like more around this level, if I can find good confirmations to get in earlier, down here, if that sets up, great. Targeting just a breakout of 7,000 probably, right? That's just kind of a keyhole number. If we do, if I'm able to find confirmations to get in that before a big move comes, then that would allow me the flexibility to maybe scale out on a break of 7,000 and then hold runners to just see how far we rally today, if that happens. If that doesn't happen, if sellers are very strong, then I'll again kind of be looking to see what happens if we break under here and sellers hold under here. I wouldn't be too greedy with shorts. I'd probably just be looking to target these prior highs. This was a key area for me this week as well. It was around 69.55 to 69.60-ish area, and I talked about that earlier this week as well. But that area right there is also going to be key for me. So if we pull back, I also may look for bottom reversals there. If bulls defend that, then I may look for bottom reversals on pullbacks, ideally above like 69.55 to 60 area. And there's a little low volume area there. We've already pulled back and held that once. So I'd like to not see that low taken out. right? Now, if we get choppy, if we get choppy and we just kind of stay in this range, kind of this range here, inside here, I'll likely not touch it. We could possibly look for mean reversions if it sets up a nice balance range. We'll see. I just don't love the context for that here so much. Although that could happen, and if it does, then I may just not touch it and wait for kind of more information to develop this week around the news. Drop this in here. So just kind of summarizing the scenarios that I'm kind of watching for is if bulls maintain strength kind of above these 85s, we're kind of retesting it right now in the pre-market, kind of pulling back and retesting it. We also kind of had a little bit of a rally off the 815 ADP news. So that's the break of that level right here this morning happened on the news. So that's also kind of like a news demand area to watch. So again, if bulls maintain strength above there, especially in the first 30 minutes this morning, then I'll possibly be looking for a way to get long and target a breakout of 7,000. If they don't, and we fail back under that area, if we fail back under 85s to 80s and the overnight lows around 75s, then I'll possibly be looking to scalp shorts just kind of back down, targeting like 65 to 55 area. In there. So we're kind of pulling back and retesting that right now. Let me do this again here. So just summarizing again, this is this area up here where we've kind of consolidated and built all this volume. That also aligns with that supply-ish prior consolidation range between like 73 and 94, which is kind of the exact area that we just consolidated overnight, almost to the T. So that's that range that I had marked on that 4-hour chart that I was just talking through with you guys. You can see how we're just kind of building all this volume, consolidating up here. The next key areas is, you know, for downside, either for a bottom reversal setup or a target, is this area here. So you can see how we have this kind of low volume area here. We did already kind of pull back. We dipped under it, but still held and recaptured above it. I would definitely want to see bulls not give that up and get back here to these lows today. So if we do kind of pull back, I would prefer to see bulls able to hold above this prior swing low, since we already retested these highs. We already rallied through it again, leaving this lower volume area. I would prefer to see them hold that already. So that's that setup. This is that news area. If we hold this already this morning and bulls are still looking strong, then, you know, I'd be looking to find a way to get long with that and target kind of a break of 7,000. I don't love this so much, but this could work. Here is, you know, if we do break kind of this consolidation range and there's a lot of weakness and sellers are very large and aggressive, then I could possibly look to take that to the downside, especially just using this area as a target. I'd be cautious chasing shorts to the downside though, if we move down. Drop that in there. All right, got a few minutes till the open here. Those are some different scenarios that I'm watching. Again, I don't want to preempt anything today. I want to just kind of sit back and stay patient and see what the actual order flow and market auction is telling me in real time today. There's some days where I have just a very, very clear, strong A+ setup that I'm watching for. Um, Today is one of those days where there's just kind of a few different scenarios. We're kind of at an inflection point. We've already rallied this week into this kind of prior resistance area, and now we're consolidating in it, kind of triple topping. So really kind of just, especially also now we're getting later in the week where we have NFP news coming up at the end of this week. So I'm sitting back and just kind of seeing, I'm waiting for bigger participants to show their hand, and I'm waiting for an obvious setup to develop, and I don't need to guess what's going to happen next. Do you go live every day? I do a private mentorship where I do go live every day. If you guys want more information on that, you can send me a DM on Instagram is the best way to get a hold of me. Or if you just have questions in general about trading, I'm very responsive. So the best way to get a hold of me is just there on Instagram. Let's see. Do I ever use ICT concepts? Not really. I'm not an ICT trader. I use market auction theory. I highly recommend this book. Actually, it sits on my desk. It's an old book, but studies in tape reading. Wyckoff. I look at the market auction and the order flow. I don't look at candle chart patterns and things like that. I do look at candle charts and stuff just for general like market technical analysis and structure. It's a quick and easy way, but I don't trade based on like chart patterns or things like that, because at the end of the day, that's just kind of an after the fact mirrored reflection of what the market auction is really doing in real time, which is just a battle between buyers and sellers, aggressive participants and passive participants. And so I'm able to see that in real time before things like ICT patterns form. But again, that's just how I trade. That's what I've been doing for years. It's what works for me, and no hate on anyone that has something that they're doing that works for them. I might be biased that I think my way is the best, but so is everyone probably. Let's see. What else did I miss? Yeah, if you guys appreciate all the free value here on Chart Fanatics, helps us out a ton if you just smash the like button. It's free. It's free to do. And speaking of free, we have free account giveaways. So smash the like button if you want to see some free account giveaways later in the stream here. See, did I miss anything else? Jose, what's up, man? This is ES here. We can also pop over and take a look at NQ. NQ's in it's kind of the same tight range here. But I primarily trade ES. I don't really want to like talk about gold or something like that. I know that's like the new hot thing that everybody wants to talk about, but honestly, I just don't have experience with it. I'm not a gold trader, and I don't want to just talk about something that I'm not knowledgeable about. There's probably better people that could give better information about gold. Yeah, we could analyze it. We could analyze the order flow and things like that. And you know, a market auction is a market auction, but I'm just not experienced with it myself. So I'm not gonna talk about something I'm not experienced with myself. So pretty strong buying here right off the opening bell. There was a little bit of selling. It got absorbed like right away. Yeah, there's a few hundred lots of negative delta here with this red bubble. I'm looking at this on my footprint chart and it got kind of absorbed right away. Show you guys what I mean here. Here's another way of viewing stuff as well. Just looking at like a footprint chart. Sorry. Goodness, messing this all up. So here's my footprint chart. I use 5-point range. I have this on Tradeovate as well, and if you're interested in that, I have a video on how to set that up. But down here at the bottom, I look at the cumulative delta for the 5-point range bars, and then On the bars, I look at the volume and the delta by price, by specific tick. I don't like to enter trades or overanalyze things too much in like the first 5 minutes. There's such a surge in orders, like it can really just kind of flip either way. So I generally don't look to enter trades in the first 5 minutes or even minutes before the 9:30 open. There's just way too much. It's just a total coin flip. What's my net worth? So a lot of buying here, but kind of stalled a little bit. Again, we have the news coming out at 10 a.m., so bear that in mind. I don't like to be entering trades in the few minutes around news. If I see a good setup, ideally it would kind of be this morning between like 9:40 and 9:55 before the news. Otherwise, I'll probably sit back and wait until after the news. Glasses. I do have my, where are they? Yeah, I do normally wear these a lot because it does help with some eye relief. These are the Gunner glasses. What's up, Riz? Thanks for joining in. First of the year. First of the year. Cheers, mate. So we're watching the order flow develop here. I'm gonna get Riz to be an order flow trader. Helps with profitability for sure. It helps with precision for sure. There's lots of ways to trade. But order flow for sure helps you see things just ultra fast before it develops into a pattern that people see on regular charts, and that helps you get just extremely high risk versus reward. Like, just to put that in perspective, I've literally had months with a 20% win rate. Now, it's normally higher than that, right? But I've literally had profitable trading months with like a 20% win rate. That's just a benefit of when I'm scalping and I see really fast and precise confirmations, I'm able to get in with just minuscule risk. And if I lose a tick or two, who cares? I can re-enter. So it's a huge benefit, being able to analyze the order flow in real time, even if you have a price action strategy that works, or you have some other strategy that works. Being able to read the auction and the order flow, even just a basic way. Another huge benefit is you can see clearly when maybe a candle chart pattern or something is forming that is not going to be a high quality trade, just based on the order flow. So it's a huge benefit in just avoiding low quality trades as well. You just get, it can seem overwhelming at first, but you just get so much more information than you get on a candle chart alone. Especially when you combine, technical analysis and layering in, volume profiles, to understand where volume is really transacted. A lot of buying going on here now, kind of flirting with this anchored VWAP level that I have. So we're still kind of defending dips on that 85 level. I'm looking to see if we get anything here. I'd be kind of interested in taking it long. If we see oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let me draw this. If I see any kind of a bit of a pullback here and bids defend it, I may be interested in taking this long. Again, targeting it into the 7,000s. Especially right around VWAP here. Sellers tried this morning and just did not have the juice. We see the selling here. Here's a good one too. Let me show you guys on the footprint chart here. Sorry, I'm trying to wait for a trade set up myself and show you guys what I'm watching. But we see on this dip here, right after 9:30, there was a decent bit of selling here. But the selling kind of tapered off here, was not strong enough to kind of break this down. And then as we rallied up here, look at all that aggressive buying that came in right there. Can't even see that, it's too small. 300 and something plus lots. And then we rallied up from there. And you can see not a lot of volume was transacted because we kind of moved up relatively quickly here. And we also have this VWAP level here as well. I'm looking to see if any large buyers step in here. If I see some large buying or large passive bids step in to defend this. And if this now fails, that also could be telling. There's a bid popping in. We'll see what happens if he gets sold through or if he successfully kind of defends this pullback and we start rallying from here. It's pretty dead. So decent amount of aggressive buying coming in. 400 something lots came in there. Yeah, I like the amount of aggressive buying that's coming in here. Taking a stab at this long. I want to see it kind of rally over these prior highs here. I'm kind of preempting a little bit because I want to see this aggressive buying really start to surge here. I'm in at 89.50. My stop just being kind of under 87. I'm going to be kind of protective fast here. If this rally fails to break over these highs, there's these offers kind of sitting here. There's a lot of aggressive buying coming into these highs, hundreds of lots. I'm looking just at the delta here. There's a lot of aggressive buying. I really want to see that rewarded with a strong break over these highs. And if it doesn't, these buyers could get trapped and we could drop lower first. There's a lot of aggressive buying over my entry now, which is what I wanted to see, but it's kind of sluggish here. So I definitely want to see this rewarded. I don't want to hold this for a big loss by any means. I don't like how this is just sitting here. I'm going break even now. I see this large aggressive buying is coming in over my entry now. We're breaking these prior highs. Again, I'm in at 89.50. My original stop was just around 87, and I'm going for that 7,000 level. But my risk is going break even now at 89.50. I just took half off here for 5 points. Again, I don't have a super good level necessarily to target other than just the 7,000 whole number. I took half off for 5 points. Again, it was like a 2-point risk, so it's 2.5 R, and my stop loss is still break even on the second half. So see, my entry here was kind of preemptive. I saw the aggressive buying starting to come in, and then after my entry, look at 500 lots, 200 lots, 300 lots, 389 lots, 200 lots, all this super aggressive buying coming in after my entry. This is what I wanted to see. My original stop loss was just like right here at around 87.50 at the bottom. See how the selling just kind of dwindled off on that pullback, and as soon as buying started coming back in, I went with it and just had a really tight stop here where the selling dwindled off. This is what I wanted to see. Look at all this aggressive buying, even coming in up here. You can see where I scaled out for just 5 points. But man, is it slow and grindy, right? Look at all this aggressive buying, and it's just moving like molasses. That's why I'm just being defensive here and just trailing. So see if this goes to 7,000, I'll exit. Or if we can break above 7,000, otherwise I'm just going to take the 5 points and chill. Too volatile for an entry? This is not volatile for me, brother. This is super flat and choppy. We're seeing what I wanted to see, which is all the aggressive buying. It's just not rallying higher very quickly. So it's just not a lot of excitement coming into the market to overtake any passive participants that are sitting here. This is Sierra chart. I'm moving my screens around, which I don't normally do just because I'm totally hands off this trade now. I'm just watching. Order set. Actually, I need to adjust this. Look at all this aggressive buying coming in. Back up at my first exit here. It's a lot of aggressive buying. Seeing all these orders here, sitting here at 98, 99, 7,000. See these on the heat map over here? If we can sweep up through them, oops, sorry. If we can sweep up through them, then I will probably just flatten. I have very systematic way of trading, but obviously there is a lot of just discretion and experience over time from learning the order flow. But I try to teach that in a very systematic way that can be, translated to other people, because it's hard to teach people like feel and experience. So I try to define things very tangibly so that other people can learn it from me. Still seeing that aggressive buying coming in. Come on. There we go. Look at just all this aggressive buying, but it's still like moving like molasses. It's not making me feel good. I would like to see this go faster. Again, this was straight out of the pre-market game plan that I shared with you guys. It's up 8 points now. I'm gonna flatten probably at the, we're just a point or two away from my target. This is a kind of a, not a hard target. This is an interesting one where it's a very discretionary target. We're kind of rallying into new highs. And so I'm just kind of closing when it slows down and stops. We are seeing this bid under price here now, following price up, which I do like to see. See how passive buyers are following price up. I'd want to see these guys defend any little dip and squeeze this thing into 7,000. We're kind of above those prior highs now. We just peaked over those prior highs, so I'm definitely not holding this trade for a loss. My stop is break even for sure. It's gonna be really disappointing if this thing comes all the way back now, just after being just a hair away from hitting that 7,000 level. I like this passive buyer stepping in. I really want to see this hold above these 95s, which is my first exit there. Whoa. Yeah, I might flatten this thing if buyers don't come in here. It's getting very thin too, because we're getting pretty close to that news event that we have coming up. I would like to be out of this before like 950 or 955. I don't like to hold into the news. All right, if buyers can't hold this now, I'm just going to probably flatten at my first target here, that first 5 points. It's just flipped like completely red now. I'm out. Not going to hold it back down here for a loss. It may hold, but I'm just going to take the 5-ish points there. Yeah, 5 points exactly. Again, I was risking 2 points, so I would have, I gave back a couple points of unrealized profit here. I could have scaled out the highs, but this felt very promising that we were going to go hit these 7,000s. But I'm no longer willing to hold this thing for giving back all 5 points now. Just given the fact that it's 950. I said I wanted to be out of this trade really before 950, 955. It's gonna be annoying if it dipped just enough to get me out here and then it goes and rallies into that, but that's just what happens sometimes. Nothing, crazy. 5 points on like a 2-point risk. It was just a baby scalp, but you can see how, that's still a 2.5-hour trade. That's still a 2.5-hour trade, just on even just a little scalp. So here was the setup, right? Exactly what I talked about in the pre-market was if I see
if I see buyers strong in defending pullbacks over 85, again, let me go back to the Chart Fanatics Discord where I dropped the screenshots. Remember this scenario right here where I said, okay, if I see little pullbacks defend over 85 and buyers are still aggressive, I'll look to take it long, just targeting into 7,000. I scaled out ahead of that for 5 points, just a kind of a fixed 2+R. And then I held that second half to try to hit that target. But once I saw, one, we're getting too close to news now. Two, buyers fizzled out and it just became all red. There's just no reason to keep holding it at this moment for me. So I'm just going to take the 5 points and call it. But this was the setup here that I talked about in the pre-market game plan. Buyers maintain strong there. Now here's the confirmations that I saw, right? So when I drew this box here, guys, I saw all this selling try to break down under that 85 area. Look at that, 69, 85. And the energy and volume from selling completely dwindled off. Then we had this aggressive, like, look at the size of this buying as we broke back over this little high, trapping all these sellers at the lows. And then on the pullback, look how small this selling is. See how small these sell bubbles are relative to these green buy bubbles. And we held right above this box that I marked, also right at VWAP. So there's like 3-4 different confluences going on there. So that's where I took it. Where did I end up getting filled? At 89.50. I wanted to buy it right here, but it was just so dang slow, guys, that I was like waiting to see some energy from buyers to come back in. I wanted to buy it like right here, but I wasn't seeing enough confirmation. I started to see that aggressive buying come in. And once that aggressive buying came back in, I got filled at 89.50 and my stop was just here under these lows, just under 87, like 75, 87.50. And so then obviously all that aggressive buying came back in and ended up just scaling for about 5 points up here. So just a baby scalp, nothing crazy, but we only had kind of, from my perspective, I only had a few minutes to work with here because I'm not trying to gamble into the news. If I can catch a quick little 2-hour scalp in that little time window after 9:30 open, let that kind of calm down. We have the 10 a.m. news coming out. So I have a small window of time there where I can catch kind of a clean setup. And again, the news may come out and this thing may rally to the moon. Total gamble though. What if it doesn't? I don't gamble into news events, right? So it could have, the news could come out and this could sweep out and I could take like a 5-10 point loss on it. I don't do that. This is something that I can repeat day in and day out. I don't need to try to gamble into news. But again, nothing crazy. I made like $500 risking like $200. Again, I don't trade prop firms or anything. This is my real personal capital account. Does that make sense to you guys? You guys have any questions on the setup, the analysis? Again, small size for me. It's not like a big opportunity trade where I'd put a lot of size on for it. It's just a little scalp, a few $100. But what's cool about trading with order flow like this is even in this relatively small day, was able to find some opportunity to get a 2-hour trade. That's not bad. Even in a very small, kind of muted morning ahead of news, was able to find a little opportunity there to 2.5R. And if I would have just scaled out at the highs, it would have been probably like 3 or 4R. If I would have just closed there at 97, 98, it would have been like 3 or 4R trade. But I was really trying to hold for that 7,000 target, but I also wasn't willing to give my profit back anymore, back under my first exit. So it was one of those tough scenarios. as far as trade management. I use Sierra Chart, and then I also use Tradeovate. So we're about to have the 10 a.m. news. I think this is a good time to run some giveaways, guys. I'm not trading during the news. I will watch it, but I will not execute trades into the news. All right, enter in the chat if you want to be entered for the giveaway. Only one time. If you blow up the chat multiple times, you won't be selected for the giveaway. But exclamation point order flow, enter it in the chat one time if you want to be entered in for the giveaways for accounts. We got Apex account, Funded Next account, Alpha Capital account. And we'll watch the fireworks here. Maybe there will be fireworks. Maybe this will be a very muted news event and nothing will happen. Since you're done executing trade, how is a marathon? I ran a marathon and an ultra marathon like 2 weeks apart, less than 2 weeks apart, in November. Since then, I've kind of tapered off through the holidays. I'm getting ready to start ramping back up. Thanks for asking. All right, we'll give it one more minute here till 9:59. Again, just enter one time in the chat, exclamation point order flow if you want to be entered for the account giveaways here. How do you guys feel about this setup as well? Well, we'll talk about it more after the giveaways. Did I finish? Yeah, I finished. I finished the ultra marathon and the marathon. Both the marathon, I was pretty happy with my finish. The ultra marathon, I had a rough last like 5 miles. It was a 50K, so I think it's like 31 or 32 mile ultra marathon. I finished slower than I wanted, but I finished it before the cutoff time. I got hit by the afternoon heat. When I started that ultra marathon, when I started at like 6 a.m. in the morning, it was like 40 degrees out. And by the time I finished the ultra marathon, it was like 80 degrees out. And that afternoon heat got me. And also the elevation change got me big time. I don't have much elevation to train on here in Central Florida. And so I went through a lot more calories than what I had trained and planned for. So I definitely hit a wall in the last 5 miles, and it was a brutal grind. And I ended up finishing it in like 7 something hours, I think. I was doing a lot of like walk run in the last 5 miles because I hit that wall where your body is completely out of nutrients, and it was brutal. All right, we're gonna run the giveaways now. Anthony, if we could pull the list. Here's the 10 a.m. news coming out. Look at that. Bam. If I would have held that trade, there's my loss I would have taken. How pissed would I be to give back 5 to 8 points there? Taking an L just because I wanted to hold it into the news on a gamble. All right, guys. Entries are closed now for the account giveaways. We're retesting this box from earlier. Obviously, the news can be so volatile that this may not hold up, but isn't that interesting? All right, guys, let me pull the names here. I'm going to try to do this so we can still see the order flow here and watch it while we do this. So if I drag this over here, put this here. Nah, like it the other way. So you can see price. And drag this all the way over here. There we go. All right. So we got the Apex account. You see here. A lot of selling coming in. Just continuing to sell back into the zone. It could, again, it's not so much selling that I want to like go short. I definitely don't want to chase shorts, but it could trigger a deeper pullback to possibly set up an opportunity along something. Zyrath Mulkin, are you in the chat? Let me know. First account giveaway. Congratulations. Please let me know if you're here, if you got it. There he is. So if you aren't aware already, in order to claim this, you need to go to the Chart Fanatics Discord and go to the giveaways and follow the instructions there to claim it. Congratulations. All right, so on to the next one. We got funded next. Milmer Flores. Congratulations. Let me know in the chat if you're here. The entries are closed now. Sorry, guys. But there will be more on future streams on the channel. There he is, Milmer Flores. Let's go. Yeah, so again, just repeating again, Chart Fanatics Discord. If you're not already in there, join in there to go in there and claim this. Go under the giveaways tab and follow the instructions there. Some aggressive buying coming in here, possibly trying to reclaim this zone now. Again, that 85 area, again, we dipped just under it. See what happens here. More aggressive buying coming in. See these bids coming in here? We'll see if they're able to successfully reclaim back over here. If they do, then we could retrace back into the highs. If they don't, then we could collapse further into that area that I talked about from yesterday. Just kind of do or die right here in the short term for bulls. All right, we got another account. What is this one? Alpha Capital. Spartan Trading, congratulations. Let me know in the chat if you're here. This is a battle going on right here in this zone that I marked from earlier. Spartan Trading, congratulations. Let me know in the chat if you got this. You still here, Spartan Trading? Give him one more minute. Let me know in the chat, Spartan Trading, if you're here. Man, some aggressive buying is really coming in back over this zone now. Same zone from earlier. Look at this. We tried to dip under it. These sellers kind of got trapped under here. See these bids that defended right here on 84? I'm talking about this here on the heat map. The same exact zone is now recovering. I'm kind of liking this. If we pull back into here again, if we can get a pullback, a little pullback in here again and defends again, then I might be interested in taking it along at the literally the same level from earlier. 89.50 is where my entry was earlier. If we get a little pullback here, it continues to defend with aggressive buying. I might take this long again, targeting that 7,000 level again. I'm watching it. All right, I guess he's gone. Oh, he's, man, you come in the last minute, Spartan Trading. I was about to move on to the next one. I was about to move on to the next one, man. All right. So just to claim that, go into the Chart Fanatics Discord, go to the giveaways section. Can we post the link to join the Chart Fanatics Discord in case anyone's not already in there? Oh, we just got a little pullback here and I missed it. I was not looking. Yeah. So we'll see what happens on this kind of pullback here. If the selling looks weak and buyers look strong, I may take this again. If it doesn't look good though, I'm not going to take it. The selling actually looks kind of heavier than I'd like to see on the pullback into here. I'm looking at like the size of selling on the pullback, and if it really dwindles off, if there's large bids that appear and defend it, right? There's a few different things that I'm looking at. I don't know. May just call it a day with my 5 points. Just a little scalp, guys. Nothing crazy. Thanks, Jordan. Jordan said, great stream. Hey, if you guys appreciate this kind of information and analysis and really kind of pretty in-depth education, a lot more than is given for free anywhere else that I know of, then smash the like button. Share if you can. It's free to do. Helps us out a ton. There's no time frame on Bookmap per se. It pulls orders together into these bubbles. The more I zoom out, you can see the time intervals on the spacing here below. So right now this is like 15 minutes between these vertical bars. So I can zoom all the way out like this, you know, and I can squish price up and down depending on how much I want it to expand it. I personally, for the most part, I like to zoom between like these five minute or like 5 or 2 minute, and I like to expand it price just enough to where I can at least see these horizontal bars that you see, these light gray vertical and horizontal bars. It's kind of feel based, and it really just depends. Like the higher the volatility, the more I'll zoom out, right? Sometimes when I'm really looking at a zone like this for an entry, I'll be on like even like this, like 30-second intervals. So now we can see between these vertical bars, it's like 30-second time intervals. This selling is too heavy, by the way. I'm not taking an entry here. It may work and we may just like hit a bottom and shoot off, but I'm just not liking this confirmation as far as this, how heavy the selling is on this pullback here. Not what I look for an entry model. Add-ons, I don't really use any add-ons or indicators. I do have this absorption add-on here. You can see everything that I have enabled. The absorption indicator is really the only indicator that I have on, and I don't really use that for trades, entries, or anything. It just brings my attention to like key spots where interesting orders hit if I for whatever reason miss it and I'm not seeing it live. And as far as the settings go on that, it's really just the automatic settings, and it's actually not triggering very much, so I'll probably reduce the standard deviation multiplier. There, now it's triggering a little bit more. If it starts triggering too much at like non-key stuff, then I will increase that standard deviation. And if it's not triggering enough, then I will decrease it. But usually it's between like 10 and 20 on the standard deviation multiplier in a 30 minutes. So basically what this is saying is like, if an order that is like 11 times larger than the average order size over the last 30 minutes hits within 0.01 seconds, so like a very fast, large size order all in one spot, then it will trigger that alert. But it's not something that I necessarily use. It just brings, it's not like, oh, I see this alert triggering and I'm going to take a trade. No. I just use it to bring my attention to some large, interesting orders if I'm not paying attention closely to Bookmap, and then I look away and look back and like, oh, that triggered right here. There were some interesting orders. That's it. It's pretty much been all selling since I exited that trade. Just going back here. So, and you can see why I exited that in real time. So I was holding this trade. All this aggressive buying was coming in. I was holding the second contract looking for a break into 7,000. But after seeing all this aggressive buying come in the highs, so look at how the buying, let me do a snip so I can draw it. I like doing snips better. Hang on. So this is why I exited this trade, guys. And it turned into a really good exit. You know, even though it was a small size scalp. So again, at the lows, we saw the selling dwindle off. Then we saw large buying stepping in. I waited, you know, we bounced aggressively. We pulled back again. I saw that selling dwindle off again. And I saw right here, large buying start to step in again. I took it. And then look at all this large buying that came in after my entry. That's a great confirmation to hold, I was ideally looking for at least a break over 95 because that would have been about 5 points, but ideally just 7,000 would have been about 10, 12, 10, 11 points on a 2-point risk. Okay, so I continued to hold. After I exited this first half, I continued to hold because I liked seeing all this aggressive buying. But then as we came into these highs, see how the volume from buyers just really tapered off? This is the volume on the right-hand side. See how the volume just really tapered off? And then it flipped all red, all aggressive selling come in. I was like, I don't like that. I'm not going to hold this for a loss or even give back all 5 points of my profit. It's already a 2-hour trade. That's when I cut the second half. So yeah, I gave back a few points of unrealized profit, but I was trying to hold for my target that I wanted, which was the 7,000 on the second half. But the market told me I was wrong. I didn't need to hold a loss on that. It already told me I was wrong, so I took my 5 points. And then we see again, buying tried to pop and it just dwindled off there again. And then just all this heavy selling came in. And since that exit, it's just been all selling. Look at the cumulative delta. So I basically held this trade here where all this buying was. And then once I saw the tape flip and sellers stepped in, just under that key 7,000 level, since my exit, it's just been all selling. You guys see that? That's the kind of information that helps you manage trades that you cannot see on a candle chart alone. Yeah, absolutely. There's never more sellers than buyers. There can be more aggressive sellers than buyers, or more aggressive buyers than sellers. But obviously, an aggressive seller needs to be matched with a passive buyer, right? But if there is more aggressive sellers than buyers, price will continue to move lower to fill, passive buyers. We don't know what their intent is. Maybe those passive buyers are just like me, stopping out of earlier longs, right? Trailed longs or whatever. So the same thing that I just showed you guys on the footprint chart, we can see here, after we made these highs where I exited that trade, see how small the buying was on these pops? That's also a confirmation that I look for to go short, is seeing like multiple failed highs like this. Now, obviously I wouldn't trade this because it was right into the news or right during, but we made that high into that just under that 7,000 level. But if this was at a key spot, seeing this aggressive selling stepping in and then seeing these weaker buying on pops is a good confirmation to go short. And that's why I covered my long. When I'm seeing good confirmations to go short and I'm in the long, then I'm covering and I'm getting out, right? Yeah, and it's just continuing to be all selling. So let me drop this in the chat in case anybody wants to review. You can. Again, I'm dropping these screenshots that I'm talking through in the Chart Fanatics Discord under the Matt Owen channel. So if you want to be able to review it there, you can. So just taking a zoom out here, we're still ultimately inside that range that I talked about. So look at my 4-hour chart. That trade that I took, I was kind of speculating that we would break out over this zone. And obviously, we wicked it and then came back into it, right? So I covered the trade. Still got a 2-hour trade. It's all good. But this is a 4-hour chart, guys. But ultimately now we're still inside this zone that I was talking about. See that? So we're still kind of up and down inside this zone. So be mindful of that. Always keep the big picture in mind. To the downside, I'd be watching this area where we consolidated and then broke out of, right? So this is kind of a demand zone where we consolidated and then rallied out of it. At this point, I would prefer to see buyers defend it at the highs of it. I wouldn't want to see us drop really deeply into this kind of demand area. So I'd want to see, and this is something I talked about earlier, really that, that area between like 55 to 60-ish, plus or minus a few points. I'd want to see bulls defend that on a pullback if we got a deeper pullback there. If they don't, then we could start going for targeting prior lows. So I'd be looking at that area just from a structure perspective going forward today. If we continue to pull back, drop that in the chart. And then the other thing confluence wise that I would add to that is looking at my 30-minute chart with the volume profile here is this area, which is the same area on the break of prior highs. We already pulled back and held it once, 30-minute chart. And again, right around that 55 to 60-ish area, right? Does that make sense to you guys? So if we continue to pull back and we kind of sweep under these lows, I'd want to see bulls defend up here, really kind of at or above this area, ideally. You know, anything can happen. I'm just kind of I'm just sitting back and speculating right now. These are the levels that I'd be watching. And then obviously so far we're just continuing to look at how this bell curve of volume is forming, right? So we're kind of balanced in here. This isn't looking hot right now for buyers, how we peaked up there and then we're dropping back so aggressively. It's not looking ideal, but also it's like, okay, bulls are still very much in control of the market overall. But inside this bell curve, I'd be careful. Let me do that a different color. Inside here, I'd be careful to not get chopped up. And if you do, understand the location and understand looking for like mean reversions or something until, you know, we have a strong break. Does that make sense to you guys? Let me know in the chat. Any last questions before I wrap up? You going to be live tomorrow? Not in Chart Fanatics. I'll be live on Chart Fanatics again on Friday. If you want to get more education and information from me, you can reach out to me on Instagram. The link is in the description of this video, this live stream. I typically set like a larger range on the footprint on NQ. Footprints are a little trickier for me on NQ, but you can see I have it set here like around 10 points, 10, 12 points. This is a 10 point range right now. No, I do not trade gold. I trade ES primarily. I may look more at gold and NQ this year, but right now, you know, I just do what works and I don't chase shiny objects. Just trying to do what works and scale it, which is for me, yeah, like 40 ticks, Tendra on NQ footprint. I've been trading ES and SPY for a long time, like 7 years or more, SPY, and futures 5 or so, ES and SPY. So that's kind of what I put all my focus into. Now NQ I do a little bit. It's very, very similar. And you know, the stuff that I teach and share can be used on pretty much any instrument, stock or futures, right? It's all a market auction. They all have kind of their own personality, and so you need to be very familiar with what is like normal size, what is normal speed of the tape on that instrument, right? So you need to get some screen time and experience with it, but the underlying concepts work regardless, right? The only exception, caveat I'd say is like Forex is not traded under like a centralized exchange. So you can't really do like order flow analysis like this. But as far as futures, their futures work really well for the order flow analysis because it trades in like fixed tick sizes, contract sizes. So even when I trade like SPY and QQQ, I still do all of my analysis on the futures on ES and NQ. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you guys Friday back here on Chart Fanatics. And then again, if you want to connect with me more, reach out on Instagram, follow me on there. Link is in the description below. But again, thanks all for tuning in. I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this, and I will see you guys back here. Thanks, guys. Peace.